Second inning from Ogren Park, and the highlight of inning number one was the perfect throw from Michael Amodi down to throw out a speedy Cam Corsi.
Yeah, and I don't mind the call, though. You're going against a really talented pitcher. You get some speed on the base paths, a guy that made a lot of contact yesterday. So you're trying to make something happen in the bottom of the first, and it looked like a pretty borderline pitch that could have been called a ball. So it didn't go the Osprey way, but I like the call, getting the runner in motion.
Osprey manager Juan Francia said when this team was assembled, he would like to get out and run as much as possible. Traffic on the base paths. Well, so far through 16 games, the Osprey have just 11 stolen bases. So we'll see if they continue to be more aggressive with speed at the top in Corsi and Reyes. Top of the second inning, 4, 5, and 6 for the Chukars. Juan Carlos Negrete steps in. He was the DH last night, playing right field tonight. Slightly open stance from the right side. He checks in, batting .216.
And it's just so interesting, Riley, because maybe not every single move made in the game is made because that gives you the best chance to win. They might want to see if Corsi can steal a couple bags. You know, so they're going to be like, hey, we want to give this guy a chance to get a couple stolen bases, even though they might not necessarily send him in that particular situation because it's best for the game. They want to see if they can do it, you know, moving forward.
More than anything, maybe to see a jump or something.
Yeah.
How we can get a jump as that pitch is popped out to Spencer Brickhouse. So 4 up and 4 down for Dustin Lucchese. A draft pick out of Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And Sean, if you looked at his numbers from college, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, not in the most well-known league down in the Southland, but his numbers, 8 and 12, earned run average of 5 for his college career. But draft picks sometimes are based on potential, and it sure looks like that's the case with Lucchese.
Yeah, and so far, I've been pretty impressed with his command. I think a lot of the times you get a lot of pitchers in this league, and they have good stuff, but they're all over the place. And so that's kind of the risk you take with pitchers, right? Do they have really good stuff, and you try to then get them into the pros, and then that's when you can get the pitching coaches and try to hone in their skills. Or you can get a guy that's a little bit more polished, that has a little bit more command, but maybe not the stuff per se, and Lucchese kind of strikes me as the latter.
Another changeup swung through and missed. That's 5 already. Changeups that have been swung through, coming in at 82 miles an hour. Lucchese ahead in the count again to Michael Amodi, who has been on fire. 6'4" catcher out of Creighton. Big body, power bat. Righty on righty matchup. The 0-2 pitch misses low for ball 1. Amodi in his last 3 games, 8 hits, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs.
Yeah, and he sent a missile over the fence in left center last night. So Royals got a good-looking prospect in a catcher that can really swing the bat.
The 1-2. Chopper foul down the third baseline, so Amodi will stay alive. Far and away the best numbers put together by a catcher through the first 2 weeks of this season. Ismaldo Rodriguez on deck, Isaiah Henry to follow, top of the second inning.
And in college, he only sat out 8 innings the entire season for his college squad. So that's he's as a catcher, he's durable, he can swing it, and he's got a good arm throwing out the base runner in the last inning. So he kind of checks off all the boxes.
Grounder to third, Reyes will stay down, throwing across just in time of Amodi for out number 2.
It sounded like the second broken bat there for Lucchese. So he's definitely hitting his spots, mixing in and out, and keeping these Chukars hitters off balance.
Mixing it up, back and forth, change up in the low 80s, fastball just touching 90. He'll try and make it another perfect inning against Ismaldo Rodriguez. Rodriguez, the left fielder, 229 for his batting average. In the order for the second consecutive night, he had the hat trick a night ago though, Sean, 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Osprey with a mini shift on the right side. Rodriguez fooled on that changeup, 1-1.
And we're seeing kind of the analytics and the shifting kind of filtering all the way down to rookie ball now. They're starting to get enough numbers on some of these guys where they can kind of line up where they think he might go. That's kind of the interesting thing is a lot of these guys, you don't really have many stats on them, so you don't know where to line up. But now we're, you know, getting into the season where we're about 14 games in, and you could start seeing some trends, and then you can figure out where you want to align defensively.
The trickle-down effect is truly amazing from at the top, as you mentioned, in just the past 5 years of how you're seeing it at this level. Just the adjustments, the planning for a starting pitcher from game to game has changed too, with all the numbers that are out there. Lucchese falls behind 3-1. A high pop for Rodriguez in foul territory. Brickhouse ranging over near the Chukars bullpen, but just out of his outstretched reach, and it's 3-2.
Yeah, not an area of the ballpark that you want to get too aggressive with if you're a defender, because, I mean, it's concrete and rocks and a whole bunch of hard stuff over there, so you kind of don't want to get too aggressive when you're getting over to that part of the in foul territory.
This is Brickhouse's 8th home game, and I think he's learned that already.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you get close, don't mess with the cement and the rock over there. Counts run full. Dustin Lucchese. He's retired the first 5 men he has faced. This is a chopper that will get through the hole, so the shift goes in reverse for the Osprey. That's normally where Corsi would have been playing. Instead, it's a single.
And kind of interesting, Riley, that they had the second baseman over so far to the right, but then the shortstop was on the left side of second base, as you can see there. So that is a huge hole there, because they're playing him to pull, and that was a pull, but the shortstop, I feel like, should have been in that spot. Interesting.
Let's mark down when Rodriguez comes up again, and if they adjust the shift for a second at bat.
Well, that makes it hard on the pitcher, too, because he makes a good pitch on the outside corner, gets a slow ground ball, exactly what you want, and it goes in for a base hit.
You could make the argument that sometimes teams overthink themselves of what they're doing out there.
I always find it interesting when some of the pitchers don't necessarily like. I know Rich Hill, your big Dodgers guy, and they kind of had a I can't remember if it was a bunt single or just a little weak slap down the third baseline, and he was not too happy about the shift. Let's just put it that way.
Max Scherzer, another one too. Not a big fan of changing it around. It's
well,
all about
you really have to change the way that you pitch, because if you don't have a single guy on one side of the field, it kind of takes away going either outside or inside to that guy.
The 1-1, high 2-1, and that's part of the reason too. The game within the game of why you see infielders try and get the signs for the catcher and the pitcher so they know where a pitch is supposedly going to go. 2 away in the second inning. Isaiah Henry, the batter, facing Dustin Lucchese in the stretch for the first time tonight. 2-1 is lifted to right center field. Canzone patrolling out there, but Carranza will come in to make the catch, and the side is retired. A 2-out single by Rodriguez goes by the wayside, and the Osprey will look to take the lead when we return. Bottom of the second inning, and Spencer Brickhouse steps in for the first time. Cleanup hitter, batting left, will foul this one off and out of play. High draft pick for the Osprey. Sean had mentioned just 2 top 11 picks are here in Missoula. One of them is Spencer Brickhouse, 7th round pick out of East Carolina. A scholar athlete, played all the way in the Super Regionals. A really good start in Missoula. Brickhouse, as well as Dominic Canzone, picked right behind him in the 8th round of the draft. The 2 highest picks here in Missoula. The 1-1. Grounder to second on a couple hops. Staying down is James to make the easy play.
And sometimes guys' names really fit them perfectly. Brickhouse is one of them. Just a big, sturdy guy. Almost like I was watching the Mets game the other day, and they have a very, very hefty pitcher. His name is Brooks Pounders.
Get loud for your shortstop.
Brickhouse, one of those guys.
You wouldn't guess that Brickhouse was a mechanical engineering major. He wants to work for a military grade company and work on jet engines if baseball doesn't work out. I think he has a good path either way.
Might make more money doing that.
Flyover Peguero next to step in. The 18-year-old phenom, currently with a 10-game hitting streak. He's just been on fire at .429 through the first 2 weeks of the season. He has led the Osprey in just about everything, and he leads the Pioneer League in total hits. Mini shift, playing the pole a bit. Second baseman James, right behind the pitcher Gambrel, who is on for his 2nd inning of work. 3rd round draft pick, threw 32 pitches in his first start. 15 of them outside the strike zone. He did not make it through the 2nd inning. Chukars are hoping to extend him a little bit tonight. 6'4" righty, the 80th overall pick. He was 5-3 at Oregon State this past year. Made 13 starts and earned run average of just under 3. He was one of 7 Beavers selected in the draft. Of course, his teammate Adley Richmond, #1 overall pick for the Baltimore Orioles. 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed, and Gambrell has his 2nd strikeout.
Yeah, good job mixing his pitches there. He showed the fastball kind of out and up earlier and then goes down and away with the off-speed pitch there, and had Peguero leaning. That's a good pitch at 1-2.
It's one of the best matchups you'll see all night. 3rd-round draft pick against one of the bright stars for the Osprey. Round 1 going to Gambrell. First pitch into Carranza. Just misses, so it's 1-0. Carranza, the New Mexico State product, finds himself 6th in the order again, looking to build a bit of a hitting streak. Checks in right at 200. He was plunked a couple of times last night.
Got his money's worth on that hack right there.
Not being cheated his first time up against Gant Gramble.
I think we're seeing that in baseball a lot too, is, you know, that first strike, I mean, they're letting guys really let it go. And then after that, you can adjust. Good take right there.
Missing inside, 2-1. Home plate umpire tonight is Seth Kitchen. Matt Herrera on the bases, flipped around from last night.
And we've talked about the pitching for Idaho Falls, a 3.4 ERA as a team. Really, really impressive. And they've really dedicated putting a lot of talent in that rotation. They have a 10th, a 3rd, an 8th, and a 14th rounder, a 20th rounder, and a 27th rounder in that pitching rotation. So they've invested in their pitching, and they kind of want to see how some of their highly touted guys do at this level, which is supposed to be known as an offensive level.
3-1 pitch in for strike 2 as Carranza flipped his bat towards the dugout. Usually an indicator, cardinal sin if you will, that when you act like you're going to first, umpire has a different idea, but he has an argument.
That was right above the his shin guard there. If we had a K zone, that would definitely be underneath the strike zone there. So let's see what happens on 3-2.
Count full now. Carranza will call time to try and mess with the timing a bit of Gambrell. Fastball, changeup, and slider.
Yeah, maybe gather his senses a little bit after he thought he had ball 4 there.
Have to change the entire mindset. Gambrell, the tall righty, 3-2 pitch. This one not close. And Carranza strolls down to first.
He kind of looked back at the umpire just really quickly, just a little. Are you sure that's not one to strike as well?
And you see that at this level too, where again, individual success so important that batting averages are key. That if you're costing an at bat for a player, they get fired up about it. We've seen that throughout the early part of this season as Dominic Canzone steps in for the first time tonight. Ohio State product, hit a home run last night. This is his 4th game with the Osprey. He takes high for ball 1.
There's certainly, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these kids. I mean, a lot of these are either straight out of high school or they've been around in college where, you know, you're a college student athlete, you're on the team, you kind of have your roles filled. This is all a prove-it league, so there's a lot of pressure on these kids to produce. And so when those calls don't go their way, it's really tough, especially when they're getting their first, you know, bite at being a professional athlete and dealing with all of that. So that's kind of an interesting aspect about this level as well.
Canzone peering in against Gambrell. A check over at first.
So he's got the teal cleats. He's got bright red batting gloves. A little all over the place here, color scheme-wise.
And he mentioned in the post-game interview that they were not allowed to be flashy at all at Ohio State, so maybe taking a little bit of that freedom and running with it now that he's playing for someone else other than the Buckeyes program.
Yeah, those might be some batting gloves left over from his Ohio State days.
All about comfort and feel, and Dominic Canzone was comfortable all year. 59 straight games he reached base for Ohio State as he lines one to short on one hop. Making the play is Duggan, touching second base, and the Osprey are retired. A mini 2-out threat goes by the wayside. We move to the 3rd inning next, scoreless from Ogren Park.